season and a state championship as the Bulldogs outscored their opponents 396-40. He called plays for McKinley and earned honorable mention All-Ohio. He rushed for 612 yards on 53 carries and 11 almost 12-yard carry average. He scored 13 touchdowns and 79 points. He was selected to play in the Ohio North-South All-Star Game. In his junior year in 1954, he helped McKinley finish the season 8-2. He rushed for 188 yards that year and a touchdown on 33 carries. He lettered all 3 years for McKinley in the 1950s. He was inducted into the McKinley High School Football Hall of Fame in 1988. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming for induction into the Stark County High School Football Hall of Fame, Ron Carnahan.
First of all, I'd like to thank my wife Helen for keeping me in this condition where I can still stand up after all these years and being able to attend this event tonight. Secondly, I'd like to thank everybody on the selection committee for giving me this honor. I'm humbled and very honored. Everybody that's being honored tonight, I'm sure, has a list of people that they think made it possible for us to be here, because none of us got here by ourselves. And I'd like to start with my sister, Rochelle Abraham. She was the first one that let me know how to tackle. When we were just toddlers, I was 2.5 and she was 1 year old. And every time she would try to learn to walk, I would knock her down. And my father said to my mother and my grandmother who lived with us, he must be going to be a football player. He likes to tackle people. That wasn't true. I just like to be close to girls. Second on my list is there's 4 guys from Cherry Grade School that we went from the 6th grade on and played and stayed up on the same team. Don Gorman, who was a halfback, Ronnie Perdue, who was the center, and Nate Harris, who was our fullback. We started in the 7th grade, the first year that they had football in the public schools in Canton. And our McKinley B team that year was undefeated and won the city championship, grade school. The next year we went to, all 4 of us went to McKinley. We played on an undefeated freshman team and we were city champions of the freshman league. Then reality set in. We become sophomores. And our sophomore year, we were 3-6 and won. We had a tie. But that wasn't much fun, getting beat like that. My junior year, we improved to 8-2. We had a great team. Individually, maybe one of the finest teams that McKinley ever had, but we managed to lose 2 games. By 1 point to Warren in the last game, to Massillon in the rain, even though we was favored by 10 points going into the game. They took our, and look at Devin, he's smiling. But anyhow, the following year, with the 4 of us still playing, we went 10-0. And the most impressive game, of course, was against Massillon. The last game of the season, we were number 1 and Massillon was number 2. We were both undefeated. Massillon had a great team. Jim Houston, Dave Canary, they were loaded also. And we ended up playing a snow game. We went to bed on Friday night. They had taken the whole team and stayed at the top of the Mark Hotel out on East Tusk. And it was like 62 degrees when we went to bed. We woke up Saturday morning and there was 4 inches of snow on the ground and snowflakes coming down the size of 50-cent pieces. So we played that game at Foster Stadium in the snow. It was low scoring. Nobody really did much of anything. We won the game on basically 2 bad snaps from the center. The first one, we got the ball on Massill's 7-yard line, and I called the plays, so I went over to the official and I said, "Sir, we're going to be going on a silent count, and we're going to not hand the ball off. Our quarterback's going to keep the ball, and the only people that's going to move is the 2 guards in the center." So I said, "Please inform your linemen that we're not going to jump off sides or we're not having illegal motion. Everybody else is going to stay set, and just those 4 people will be moving." We did that 3 times and we got into the end zone. We scored a touchdown, kicked the extra point. The game went on. We ended up winning 13-7, and undefeated state champions. And after that, it was 7 years prior to that we had ever beaten Massillon. It went all the way back to 1947. A halfback by the name of Ray Hamilton was the leader of the McKinley team back in 47. His number was 61. If you look in the program tonight, you'll see that that was my number, 61. Because when I was 8 years old, he was my idol. And I took shoe polish on an old sweatshirt and wrote 61. So that's it for me, folks. Thank you for being here. Thank you again for being honored to be put in the Hall of Fame. And thank you, all of you, for listening to an old bulldog bark.
Inductee for the class of 2023 is Bobby Henry, North Canton Hoover running back and a 1998 senior. Let's talk about where you start and where you end here for a second. Bobby Henry, Don Hertler Jr. told me, did not start on the 8th grade team. He didn't start on the 9th grade team. He did not start on a JV team. Finally, as a junior, he sort of came into his own and had an outstanding year as a junior defensive end. As a senior, he had 20 sacks. And Donnie Hertler said, he's a kid that just went to work in the weight room. His desire and quiet demeanor and motor is what separated him from so many others. He was one of the few players I couldn't wait to watch on Friday, not just coach. He was a Division I first team All-Ohio running back. He rushed for 1,841 yards and 23 touchdowns in the regular seasons. And oh, by the way, he had 20 sacks on the defensive side of the football. He set then what was Hoover's single season rushing record. He was the WHBC Stark County MVP by the county coaches. He rushed for 235 yards and 2 touchdowns on 37 carries to lead Hoover to a Week 10 win over Jackson, enabling the Vikings to claim a share of the Federal League title. He also started at running back for the Akron Zips, becoming one of their few 1,000-yard rushers in a season since their move to Division I-A. He gained 1,021 yards and scored 8 touchdowns as a junior and surpassed 800 yards and 10 touchdowns both as a sophomore and senior. He rushed for 2,847 yards and 32 touchdowns and gained 3,173 yards from scrimmage with 33 total University of Akron career touchdowns. His career rushing total ranks number 3 in Akron's Division I-A era. Lee Owens told me prior to this, probably the toughest football player he ever coached. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming for induction into the Stark County High School Football Hall of Fame, Bobby Henry.
Wow, it's an honor to be here with these tremendous players and the legendary Coach Wakefield. When I was a JV kid, we used to love Perry Week. We set up our best version of the wing tee, misdirection, and run the ball all week long. Congrats to you, sir. And I remember playing Steve in the first round of the playoffs in '97. And it's to say we were on the field with them. We tried our best. Bulldogs had a heck of a run back then. And to both Rons and Devin and Devontae, congrats you guys. It's a privilege to be here with you. I want to thank the Induction Committee for this awesome consideration. It's been 25 years since I made my impact on the field. And when I got the call from Pam, I sounded like, I thought it was a prank call maybe. I was shocked, to say the least. There's no shortage of great players and coaches in Stark County, so thanks for calling me. I also want to thank the Hall of Fame Village for investing in our community. We're lucky to have these facilities and this monumental attraction right in our backyard. I want to thank the community of North Canton. It really is a great place to grow up and to raise a family. One of my cherished memories was playing under the lights at Memorial Stadium on Friday nights, running through the tunnel onto the field, running track and field in the spring. Really is a great place for young athletes, and the community and the school continues to reinvest in itself, so it's going to be great for years to come. And speaking of track and field, I owe a great deal of this honor to the late, great Dave Clegg, track and field coach at Hoover. He left us way too soon. He's missed by many. I also want to thank my parents for all your love and support, all the sacrifices you've made over the years to help me to get to this place today. Like Todd was saying, believe it or not, I didn't see the field that much when I was a kid. Didn't start on the freshman team, the JV team. Finally cracked into Coach Bachum's defense when I was a junior a little bit. Even that year, I think I carried the ball 5 or 6 times, perhaps. There were always bigger, better, faster, stronger guys and more deserving in front of me. So Mom and Dad, I know we had endless conversations at the dinner table about my frustrations and anger and with my athletic development, but you never let me stay discouraged. You helped me find a path with a positive attitude, work ethic. And I suppose you knew that if I kept at it, it might work out. I want to thank my teammates. My senior class was between 2 all-star groups at Hoover. They were destined for great things, but it was very uncertain how it was going to work out for us. We ended up having a great year. And I want to thank my teammates, my friends, the junior class that helped us get a piece of the Federal League title that year. And I want to thank the coaches, Coach Hurler, Coach Shimmick, Coach Bachum, Coach Gross, Logan, Burwell, the rest of the guys. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. You guys have dedicated your lives to servicing a pathway for young kids to grow up to be young men and to become something special, be a part of something special, which is the tradition of Hoover Vikings football in Stark County. And I want to say one more thing about the tradition of Hoover Vikings football and in the greater context, Stark County High School football. In North Canton, the tradition starts when we're little kids sitting in the stands. We see a vision and we start building a dream of something that we want to be a part of. And that dream spans back many generations. A few more guys I want to thank that are here tonight. I want to thank Al Durbin, who volunteered years of his life developing youth football in North Canton. I want to thank Coach Ed Glass. When I was a little kid sitting in the stands, it was your teams that I hoped I could play for one day. There are traditions like this all over, in different communities all over Stark County. And those traditions are hard to break. If I inspired one little kid to dream big, then I guess I did my part, pushing forward the great tradition of Stark County football, high school football, which is why this induction is so special. After Hoover, Lee Owens gave me a chance. I want to thank Coach Owens, Coach Paul Winters, all my teammates there. It's also the place where I met my wife Katie, who's here with me tonight along with my son Bobby. We are raising 2 awesome kids right here in North Canton. So thank you for helping me celebrate this moment.
two-fisted football. And then I saw Keith talking to Tom McDaniels. I saw Lee Owens here, and just the amount of Donnie Hertler's here, the amount of great coaches here tonight. I'll bet there's approaching 800 wins between our coaches here. So let's just give our coaches an attendance here. All right, our next Stark County High School Football Hall of Famer is Devin Smith from Massillon, a wide receiver and 2010 senior. If you had a chance to shake Devin's hand before tonight, you know that he's still in pretty good shape. So Devin was a Division I first team All-Ohioan as a wide receiver. He caught 60 passes for 1,130 yards, almost 20 yards a reception. He had 9 touchdowns. His yardage ranked 4th in the county history. He also won the state long jump title for the Tigers that year. In 2009, as a junior, he was a Division I first team All-Ohioan as a wide receiver. He scored 15 touchdowns among his 50 catches for 989 yards in his first season in Massillon. His career stats, also some notables here. He caught 110 passes for more than 2,100 yards at Massillon, 24 touchdowns. His yardage total was 5th in county history when he graduated. He scored 30 touchdowns, receiving touchdowns at Ohio State, and averaged more than 20 yards a catch for his career, 37.9 average on his TD catches. He helped the Buckeyes win a national title, becoming a second-round pick of the Jets in the 2015 NFL Draft, number 37 overall. His selection was the first Buckeye drafted that year. He played 54 games, 30 starts over his Ohio State career, never missing a game, catching 121 passes for 2,500 yards. And I'll tell you what, when Devin Smith was on the field for the Buckeyes, you knew there was always a chance they could score from anywhere on the field. He led the nation as a senior by averaging a school record 28 yards a catch with 33 receptions for 931 yards and 12 touchdowns. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming, for induction into the High School Football Hall of Fame, Devin Smith.
Wow, this is amazing. I want to thank everybody here for showing up, and I want to thank my family as well, my wife Alicia, for being here. I'm kind of speechless, honestly. I got inducted to my high school Hall of Fame, and that was just yesterday. And I haven't been home in quite some time, so coming home to this and being here back in Ohio, it's mean everything. I have my oldest son here as well, so it's really important for me that he's here. Quick little story. When I was younger, when I first played, 5, 6 years old, playing for the Coventry Comets, and I'm running the ball, playing running back at the time, and I'm running the ball right through the middle, and I get hit real hard. And I'm laying on the ground, and I look over at my mom, and she's like, well, you better get up and run like a dog is chasing you next time. And I kept that with me throughout my whole career. And playing football, not only just football, but basketball and track as well, was something that I wanted to excel in and really, show kids that it's more than just, just football. Be great at everything. And so that was kind of my whole thing, what I wanted to do. And I'm just so thankful that I had so many people in my life, my mom, my grandmother, who's been by my side the entire time. And in making my journey to Ohio State, that was a school that I dreamed of going to. I think, most of everybody here that, are Ohio State fans. So it was a dream come true to make that. And honestly, with the NFL, I always knew I wanted to be a professional athlete. I said before that I wanted to excel in all sports. So for me, I just wanted to be a professional athlete, no matter what it was. And football kind of worked out. And getting an opportunity to be drafted, it's been such an honor. And to really just inspire young kids to go get it. And so that's been my mantra pretty much the whole time. And like I said before, I still look like I'm staying at it every single day. I still have a desire to play. Had a few bumps in the road early on in my career in the NFL, but I'm still going and I thank everybody who showed up. This honor and everybody inducted, congrats. This is something that I'll keep close to me for the rest of my life. Thank you.
I was remiss when I was talking about all the great coaches here. Jeff Durbin, I don't know how I missed him. I mean, I don't know anybody who did, who got the most out of every single ounce of talent that he had at Lake than Jeff Durbin. So Jeff, thanks for being here as well tonight. All right, moving on to our next high school football Hall of Famer is Steve Smith. He was an offensive lineman for the McKinley football team in 1998 as a senior. He was a Division I first-team All-Ohioan as an offensive lineman. He anchored that line at center on a state championship team. And in 1997, as a junior, he was a starter at center on a Division I state champion and USA Today national championship team. He was an instrumental role in DeMarlo Rozier and Ben McDaniel setting assorted McKinley career and single-season rushing records, scoring, and passing records. He played at Kent State, where he was a 3-year starter helping the Golden Flashes rank him on the top 15 rushing teams in the nation twice during his career. We had conversations when we're looking at this class, and Tom McDaniels just said, you know what, guys? You know what a Hall of Famer is when you see him. And Steve Smith is a Hall of Famer. He earned academic All-District in 2002 and 2003, and academic All-MAC 3 times from 2001 to 2003. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming for induction in the Stark County High School Football Hall of Fame, Steve Smith.
Thank you, everybody. Well, I'm not as well spoken as the other gentlemen that are up here, so I did need to write mine down. So forgive me. First, I want to thank God. And I want to say I'm honored to be up here, to be inducted with such amazing group of players and coaches. And even to hear what you said, the guys I played with, Coach McDaniels, thank you. I appreciate it. I can't help but feel undeserving, but I'm grateful and blessed to be standing here. In my humble opinion, my football story got started kind of slow. As a young, skinny kid, my mom wouldn't let me play football. She thought I was going to get hurt. So I listened and I played I played baseball instead. Baseball became my first love, and I even dreamed of becoming a professional baseball player one day. And as I got a little older, as luck would have it, I hit a growth spurt. Right around middle school and started to fill out a bit. And that was the age when most of my friends, close friends, were all playing football, and I was becoming aware of the love that the people in Canton have for the game. Well, Mom said yes, and I was ready to play. So with excitement, I went to Crenshaw Middle School to become what I thought would be the next great wide receiver, like my hero, Jerry Rice. I imagined catching long passes and scoring touchdowns. Well, the coaches apparently weren't impressed with my speed. And after running us through some drills, I found myself playing on the offensive line. I wasn't going to be scoring any touchdowns, but I still quickly embraced the position and learned about being a team player. After middle school, I was fortunate to go play for McKinley High School for the Bulldogs, where champions are made and success is tradition. And expectations were high. They were high. That was just after the 100th McKinley-Massillon game and the infamous Rubber Bowl rematch. I entered my first summer workout going into freshman year, and we were introduced to the weight room. And I'll never forget seeing a coach put 3 45-pound plates on each side of the bar and proceed to bench press it like it was just air. Well, imagine my surprise when I learned that man was not a coach, he was actually our starting running back. Around that time, Coach Gable, our interior offensive line coach, pulled me aside and he pointed up to the large board that was up on the wall in that weight room. It listed all the players that had been named All-State for each year. And he told me if I would just put in that hard work, that I would be up on that board one day. And I didn't realize it at the time, but this was going to be a growing trend of people seeing something in me that was way more than I thought was there. Well, that first year, I played freshman ball and was fortunate to dress for some of the varsity games. But going into sophomore year is when it happened. Coach McDaniels told me I was going to be the starting center. After a first rough scrimmage, though, I found myself down and full of doubts. And I went up to Coach McD after and told him I didn't think I was ready to be a starter. Well, I remember he looked me in the eye and he said, "Steve, I wouldn't put you in there if I didn't believe that you belonged there." And I really needed to hear that. And honestly, I don't know if he will ever understand how much that meant to me. High school football in Stark County was an awesome experience. The big games, the playoffs, the championships. My teammates, my coaches, the fans, the excitement. Memories I will cherish forever. Thank you, Coach McD, for believing in me. I wouldn't have made it without you. Thank you for teaching me that life is more than football and to never stop challenging myself. Thank you, Coach Gable, Coach Gabe, for pushing me to become better than I ever thought I could do on my own. And I want to say thank you to all my coaches, some that are here tonight. It was nice seeing you guys. It's been a long time. And Jim, you as well. I really was blessed to be coached by just a really awesome group of men. Thank you to all my teammates. The reason I'm standing here, some have already been inducted and some I'm sure more to come. But thank you to Ben McDaniels, Mike Doss, and my best friend Adam Brosnahan. I also want to thank my family. My mom, who's in heaven now, she was my biggest and loudest fan. She never missed a game. Thank you for letting me play football. My stepdad, Joe, thank you for being there for me when I needed you. And my dad, who never let me forget how proud he was. Thank you for all the lunches to talk football. But we're really about bringing me to know Jesus. Thank you to my wife, Lisa, my soulmate, my prize. I'm honored to be your husband. Thank you to my children, Avery, Ethan, Charlotte, Jonah, and Anna, and Samuel. They're at home with babysitter. You inspire me every day. Thank you to the committee for the nomination, and thank you, God, for making this all possible. Thank you.
Tom, I know that you really get a great deal of credit for developing Steve, but I coached Steve first. I was a youth baseball coach at Steve's and identified that he was definitely an offensive lineman and said, "Hey, this is where you need to go." All right, our next inductee is DeMonte Thomas from Marlington. He was a safety and running back, 2012 senior. I'll tell you what, I remember working at the repository and they told me, hey, you're gonna go to Marlington and cover a football game. And you're gonna watch this kid named Alton Hill. So I went and watched this kid named Alton Hill. And I came back, and I think I remember for the next 2 years writing stories about a kid named DeMonte Thomas, because that night I really saw how special DeMonte Thomas was. He was a Division I first team All-Ohioan as a running back. He rushed for 1,270 yards and 18 touchdowns on 175 carries. He made 70 tackles on the defensive side of the ball, an interception, and a fumble recovery. He ran for a career-high 309 yards in a win over Louisville. In 2011, he was a Division I first team All-Ohioan as a defensive back. Remember, as a senior, he was an All-Ohioan as a running back, an All-Ohioan on each side of the football. He made 102 tackles and 1 interception. He rushed for 875 yards and 13 touchdowns, with Alton Hill primarily being the rusher that year as a junior who had 2,000 yards. In 2010, as a sophomore, he was a Division I second team All-Ohioan as a defensive back. He helped the Dukes go 10-0 in the regular season and reach the state semifinals. He ran for 1,641 yards and 17 touchdowns. In 2009, as a freshman, he was a first team repository All-Star County in Divisions 3 through 7 that year. First of 4 straight years making the All-County first team. Some other notables: he finished his career with more than 4,500 rushing yards and 573 carries. He averaged 8 yards a carry for 4 years in high school. He scored 56 touchdowns, with the yardage total ranking 9th in county history at the time of his graduation. He scored 61 career touchdowns and 372 total points, ranking 5th and 8th respectively in county history. He helped Marlington win at least 8 games each season as a 4-year starter, reaching the playoffs 3 times as the Dukes were 37-9 in that stretch. He participated in the Army All-American game following his senior season. He also lettered in baseball and wrestling. He appeared in 15 games, 1 interception, 1 sack with the Denver Broncos over the 2017 and 18 seasons as a safety after being a 4-year letterman at the University of Michigan. He graduated from the College of Literature and Science and the Arts with a degree in General Studies after earning 2015 UM Athletic Academic Achievement and being a 2014 Academic All-Big Ten player. He appeared in 47 games, making 21 starts at free safety, totaling 128 tackles, 1 interception, a forced fumble, a fumble recovery, and 17 pass breakups. He was selected in the 2016 All-Big Ten honorable mention by both the coaches and the media. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming for induction in the Stark County High School Football Hall of Fame, DeMonte Thomas.
Dad, I told you not to bark. It's been a tradition for years that whenever I get an award or something, my dad barks. First, I want to say thank you to Pam. Pam's been trying to call me, text me, email me, and even send me a letter about this event, and I never got them. But somehow on Facebook, I decided to check my messages, and there was her message, and we went back and forth, and she was able to get me here. Thank you to Stark County Committee for inducting me into the Hall of Fame. There's a lot of great athletes here. As you heard the resume of the guys that went before me, go blue. For all you Buckeyes in here. But with that being said, I also want to say thank you to everybody here at the table 4 of my family. I got Coach Young here. Coach Young and I, believe it or not, he can probably still do the workouts. We used to get up every Sunday and go run the monument stairs, the hills, whatever crazy workout he had for us, we did. And sure enough, he was right there next to me doing the same workouts. And crazy enough, he actually coached my dad as well in high school. And unfortunately, I guess my dad didn't do those workouts yet. You can look at them now. I did them and I enjoyed them. So Coach Young, thank you for that. I got my aunt here. I'm sorry, Dad. I got my aunt here. And what a lot of people don't know is she's battling cancer. And a few days ago, she found out that she had some cancerous lumps on her brain. And the first thing she did was, "Sweet, I'm in the hospital, and I will still try to find a way to get to your event." And she's here now. That's my Aunt Danae. I got my stepmother here, which I'll go into more details after. I got my godfather here, who made a lot of things possible in high school. Always making sure that my dad was somewhat on time to my sporting events, which was still pretty hard for him to do, because if you guys know my dad, he's always 30 to 45 minutes late, but it's always fashionable, so I guess it's okay. I got my grandma here, which obviously none of this would be possible without my grandma. Grandma, still love your cooking, and I still love everything that you do for me, even till the day. And I got, last but not least, my buddy Alex Williamson. Alex been a high school friend for me. He's the reason why I actually ended up playing safety in high school. He kind of taught me, how to play safety and how to be a better athlete. He still to this day thinks that he deserves this award and that he should be in the Hall of Fame because he taught me everything, but definitely not. I deserve this one, Alex, so let me have it. Right now, when we all got here, we all got a program. And I know we're all flipping through the pages and seeing, who's getting inducted, right? And you're reading the resume of these athletes. And you just got done hearing, the resume that I had, in high school, in my sports, and college, and in the NFL. But this would not be possible without my stepmom, Christy, and my dad, Frank Thomas. And the reason I say that is because what you guys see isn't the sacrifices that my parents gave to me as a kid. There was countless nights where I walk into the house and they're lighting candles to provide light for our house. Or they gotta turn on the stove all the way and keep the door open to heat the house. Or the sacrifice that they made in the middle of winter, we didn't have no furnace, so we didn't have no heat. And they got a little space heater and put it in the living room and put the curtains up in between the wall, in between the hallways so that the cold air won't come in, and they sacrificed themselves and slept upstairs in the middle of the winter when it was freezing cold. Or the countless times where I've seen them not really be able to provide for us, food. So we're eating hot dogs and syrup, which isn't that bad if you really think about it. It's pretty good. But there's countless sacrifices that my mother and my father made for me in order for me to be able to play the sport. See, I played this sport, because obviously I had fun, I enjoyed it, but to try to take away some of that pain as I got older and financially help my parents out as much as I possibly can. Because seeing them struggle and hurt and the sacrifices that they made for not only me, but for my siblings, it made me realize in life that, my parents truly love me, but without them, this wouldn't be possible. So on behalf of my parents, I'm going to accept this award, and I'm going to leave it here in Ohio. Not only just so my family can finally realize I'm now the best athlete in the family. Because my dad's first, he's still the best, and my brothers think that they're the best. But now, when they walk into the house, where my dad keeps countless of my awards, and my mom does, my jerseys, my helmets, whatever it is that I win, they got up in their living room. But my family will be able to see, definitely my siblings, that I am the best. And hopefully one day I'll work to be my dad's favorite child, as I am sitting second currently right now, to my little brother, who quit playing football, which I'm surprised he's still your favorite, but it's okay. Maybe this will help a little bit. But honestly, I want you guys to take this home with you guys and keep it here in Ohio to remind you guys that the sacrifices that you made for me didn't go unnoticed. And every day you guys see this trophy, I want you guys to realize that the struggle that you guys went through and still finding ways to get me to sports and provide for my sports, this is why. So this is not just for me, this is for us, this is for you guys, and I want to keep this here with you guys. Thanks.
Before we move on, I want to make, after our last inductee has spoken, we want to get all of our Hall of Famers up here for a picture for the media, group picture for the media. So let's make sure we do that before everybody leaves. So our next inductee, I'll tell you what, Keith Wakefield is one of my favorite people. I used to love calling Coach Wakefield when I worked at the repository in August to find out what kind of football team he was going to have. And here's how I knew he was going to have a good football team. He'd say, Todd, we got a couple of kids from home ec. a couple of kids from cosmetology, some kids from data processing, so I don't think we're going to be very good. Well, that was the year they had Kurt Barton. So that's all. I always knew they were going to be good when he started the season picking through kids in cosmetology and home ec. But I always knew that they might not be very good because he'd say, you know, Todd, sometimes to be good, you just need some dudes. I'll tell you what, Coach, if you look out here tonight, there's some dudes out here tonight. You could have won some football games out here. So, as a head coach at Perry, he compiled a record, and I believe Lee and Keith coached together at one point on his first coaching. He coached you. So Keith compiled a record of 210-101 over 29 seasons at Perry from 1982 to 2003. And then he didn't like the way the program was headed, so he came out, dusted himself off, and led them back from 2013 to 2020, winning 15 league titles, 3 regional championships. His 222 wins ranked number 2 in Stark County history, behind only Lowell Kleinfelder with 257 wins in 41 seasons. His 2015 and 2016 teams were Division II state runners-up. He was selected as the 2001 Associated Press Ohio Division I Coach of the Year. In his final 6 seasons as head coach, he saw the Panthers go 12-3, 12-3, 9-2, 8-2, 9-3, and 9-1, while winning 4 Federal League titles and going 59-14 in that stretch. I'd say you let him back, Keith. He spent 50 years coaching football at the time of his retirement from Perry, including 37 as a head coach. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming for induction into the Stark County High School Football Hall of Fame, Keith Wakefield. Woo!
Don't you hate it when they have the old guy come up last and he goes, you know, in 1966, when I graduated from high school, in 68, you know, all this, and he goes every year, year after year. I'm not doing that to you, okay? So this will be short. Give me a few minutes. But everybody, congratulations. Devin, that was great. I loved your talk. Monte, great. You guys were everybody. Bobby, he was a tough kid. I teased Hurt, but I said Hoover didn't have many tough kids, but I'll tell you what. He don't call me now anymore. That's why I said that. So.
You're right, I don't bother.
I tease them, you know. So they had a lot of tough kids, but we never beat them very often. So, but yeah, I just want to congratulate all the guys that got in, and thanks to the committee. You know, old people, they do think highly of you at some point in your life. You know what I mean? And but it's I didn't tell my daughter. She went to Florida, and I didn't tell her, so she found out. Slates had to squeal and tell her 2 days ago, so she's mad at me because she wasn't here. But no, that's okay. I didn't want her to ruin her vacation because of this. But it is an honor. I really appreciate this. I think about Ron Blackledge back there, and I think about Stark County guys and just people that grew up here and the great football players and coaches, and it's really phenomenal. Yeah, I'm really honored. I get a little emotional because that's my nature. And I did try to help Lee Owens as a young player, but I must not have rubbed off too good on him at times, I thought. But he was a tough kid, played nose guard. But yeah, it's interesting. But yeah, I was blessed. I was raised by a stay-at-home mom that never had a driver's license. Now that's a giggle today. I mean, who wouldn't have a driver's license? She had no job. She raised my sister and myself, and my dad was a World War II vet. They built our house that I was born in right after the war, my dad and his brothers. And so that's how I was raised. And there's other people in this room that understand what that was like, a little bit different. And you know, so I was really blessed. I went to Warville High School. I played for 2 tough guys, and I wasn't very tough. And Bill Shumpwaller, you probably don't remember him, but he was a Warren Harding coach for a while, and Ed Glass probably knows him, some people, and then Mo Tipton, and just guys like that they made you commit the tough every day. It was kind of good. And I think it changed me and helped me as a young man, I know that. So, like I said, I was really blessed. 44 years with my wife, it was great. Yeah, and it was, stood by me all those times. I think about that still. But yeah, it's a real honor. I got one story or two and I'm done. My first coaching job in Stark County was in 1973. And I'm not ashamed to say it, but I was hired at Madison, Washington by Bob Cummings. And most of you, probably some of you remember Bob pretty well, but so Bob calls me and says, you want to come over for an interview? I go, yeah, I'll come over. So I go over and we ride around in his station wagon with the windows down. Bob was a smoker, smoking cigarettes, and shows me Massillon and drives around, and I'm a 22 or 3-year-old kid. And we end up at the Alibi Bar drinking beer. So that was the interview. So I've done some interviews. And I got the job the next day, so I must have done something right. But Bill Rowland, good friend of mine from Naples, some of you know Bill was a longtime administrator in Stark County, and Bill was hired on that same staff. I think you coached the defensive backs. I coached the D-line, so that's pretty interesting. But yeah, that's my first entrance into Stark County football. And then coming to Perry in '82, and we had some tough years, tough early on. I remember my second year, the superintendent said, if you don't win 6 games, you're fired. Sat me down and they said, you serious? He goes, yeah, you gotta win at least 6. I said, okay. So that's what Gene Fight told me, you know, so. But we won the federal championship the next year. So, yeah, it was good. But I just want to thank all the Perry players and coaches, and I was always harder on coaches than players. Now the players wouldn't agree to that. They didn't feel blessed sometimes, probably going home that I was coaching them. But I was blessed to have them. And when I came back at 13, I had 7 kids that their dads played for me. And so they'd complain about me and their dads would go, so he did the same to me. So they didn't have any recourse, but that's kind of funny. 7, that's amazing. Didn't get to the grandkids yet. But you know, last thought is just I get accused of this, but it's, you know, might doesn't equal right, right equals right, and I believe that entirely, and I still believe, because I've helped in a couple programs the last few years, that anybody can become tougher. Anybody with attitude and effort coaching can be a tougher player. It's not in the well water at Perry. It's not in certain districts well. It's not. And you can still teach that to kids today. The people I have found most resistant at my age are the coaches, not the players. The players will come your way, right? They will. And they still do. And that's why I still like coaching. So I'm up for a job, anybody? I'll chase after your staff off, but I'd be glad to coach for you. But no, I want to thank everybody for coming, and I appreciate you listening to an old guy. But it's a real honor for me. Thank you.
All right, who's ready to meet our last Hall of Famer? Ron Worstel was a running back at Lincoln and a 1956 senior, and when you talk about the Worstel family, you start with Ron Worstel. He set a single game record for rushing yards, 258 against Timken, and a single season record for total yards, 1,248, records he still owned when the school closed in 1976. He averaged 6.2 yards a carry and scored 76 points. He was a captain of a 7-2 team, earning All-City honors, Repository All-Star County First Team, and honorable mention All-Ohio. A couple other notes about his career: he lettered in football for 3 years, while also lettering in basketball for 3 years, and baseball for 4 years. He was a 2-year team captain of both baseball and basketball. He threw a no-hitter against North Canton. He played football for 2 years at Bowling Green. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming, for induction into the Stark County High School Football Hall of Fame, Ron Worstel.
Well, good to see a lot of faces I haven't seen for quite a while. And we're a sports family. We kind of got divided at different times. But my mom and dad were born in Marietta, Ohio. Anybody know where Marietta's at? It's a nice city, but it's not a good place to play football. So my dad, God bless him, he had my brother, he was about a year and a half old. He came up to camp and spent a year here. And then they went back down to Marietta, and I was born on a dining room table. Back then, you know, those farm people, that they didn't have doctors' access to you, you know. But anyways, we stayed there a year, and we came up to Canton again and stayed here. And I used to live right over there by Effie Chevrolet. I don't know if anybody knows that. It's right on Market Avenue. And Hercules Motors was close by. I thought I had the biggest playground in the country. You could play softball. You had to watch who was hitting people's cars and windows over here. And sometimes we used to hope for the afternoon shift to go home so we could get a clear space to play in. But anyways, did pretty well in that sport. And they didn't have football for young guys. And I told my dad I wanted to play some football. So I'd start Wells School for a couple of years. I'd walk over to Wells School with my jeans on and everything, come home for lunch, and they were about half torn off of it. We were playing football as kids. And then that kind of moved on, and they started having midget baseball, Mighty Mike baseball. And I thought Dave Stern was a God-sent person down here to let us have a league and a team. And we started playing that. By the time I had it for 2 years. Won the Southwest Championship. Went down to the state championship, was in Stark County. Hit 2 home runs and a no-hitter the first game. And man, we were riding high, baby. So anyways, then the next day, you had to come back and play another game. And you was only allowed seven innings at the time, then you got 3 more. And so we won that. So we won the city championship. And that's what got us started as far as a pretty good program in baseball. And after that, the football program was fair when I first went there. I think they were 50-50 maybe, that's the record was. But as the next year went on, we started winning about 7 games versus 3 or 4, things like that. And by the time I was a senior, we got college recruits all over the place. Good old and so pretty soon we had about 3 or 4 guys that really got voted into Ohio State, Michigan, and the whole 9 yards. And some of those players you might know: George Seams, Don Vogelsang. He was at Ohio State. He ended up being a doctor. But one of the guys that gave me a lot of encouragement when I was coming through on those baseball games and the football games was Tuffy Wells. I don't know if anybody's lived down by Macon High School. There's a gas station used to be there, and it was an ice house. But Tuffy Wells was actually in Canton, and he was part owner of the gas station. He says, "Ron, football's an easy game. All you gotta do is hit that guy harder than he hits you, and you're gonna win." Took that, and I was freshman, sophomore year, in the whole 9 yards. And the other game that we won the city championship was Mighty Lights. Is trying to think of the coach's name. He was a great coach. He didn't yell at you, didn't scream at you or anything. And, you know, he had one child, a daughter, and Webb Smith, and he coached for 26 years down there in the Southwest End. And when he retired, they asked him, who's the best player that ever played for you? I gotta tell you, he said Ron Worstell. And that's from winning the city championship and all that stuff. As years went on, I've devoted my time to helping other kids. When you raise a couple sons, grandsons, everybody wants you to help out, you know. So I would tell them I will help you out. One sport, you tell me what sport you want me to have, and I will do that. And so I've done that most of my life, and I think it's Stern Center. I still go down there to fall time, work out, and had a lot of fun in this life. And my health's been good. I have a great wife over there, and she's been working with her health, but she's a beautiful lady, and she treats me like a dollar bill. So I'm going to give you two, and I'm going to say that's it. But I love you all, and keep having this. It's good for the whole city and county. Thank you.